Race for White House reaches climax. Trump and Kamala are neck and neck.
So tomorrow you have to stand up and tell Kamala that you've had enough. You're not going to take it anymore. You're the most incompetent vice president we've ever had. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired.
And instead of stewing over an enemies list, I will spend every day working on my to-do list. Because ours is not a fight against something. It is a fight for something.
All eyes on Big Prize, Pennsylvania. Will Trump return to White House?
With your vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, indeed the world, to new heights of glory.
Or will VP Kamala Harris be the president?
And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly.
Who will be America's future? Race for America. Top focus on India Today.
It's the climax to the White House race. Millions of Americans hitting the ballot to choose the next United States president as we speak. Voting is underway in more than 20 states, including in the crucial swing states in Pennsylvania, Georgia and Michigan. 7 battleground states expected to be pivotal for the path to victory. So we'll have to see who emerges victor. At about 4:30 in the morning, that's Indian Standard Time, is when we're expecting some clarity of the numbers to trickle in at least. Not clarity actually, but just numbers to start trickling in at that point. Vice President Kamala Harris, who is of course the Democrats' presidential nominee, and Donald Trump, the Republican presidential nominee, each need at least 270 electoral votes. But let's get you the message from both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in their last rally.
I grew up as a child of the civil rights movement. My parents would take me to the marches when I was in a stroller. And we all know, and we've read about it, at those marches, there were people from every walk of life who came together to fight for freedom and for opportunity. You know, growing up, I saw how hard my mother worked to give her daughters the same chances our country gave her. And I was blessed growing up to have family by blood and to have family by love, who instilled in me the values of community, of compassion, and faith. I've spent my life fighting for people who have been hurt and counted out, but who never stop believing that in our country, anything is possible.
The day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. It's not going to be occupied long. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. And on day one, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals in American history. We're going to get them out. We have to.
This is what's going on this morning. You know, we had the election center. People are coming in, and people are going from one end, and they are voting and exiting from the other end. And over here on this side is where you will see an exit poll set up, and this is how America knows who they voted for. This is one of the exit poll sites that have been set up, and just wanted to show you again, you know, it talks about who you voted for in different languages, and this is the one that says who did you vote for, what was your age, how well do you speak English, and just try to capture that voter sentiment after they've voted it. And people are volunteering to write this up, and that's how America will know, or usually the news networks know who people have voted for. This is Rohit Sharma for India Today. Hi, sir. Good morning. I see your Fairfax Republicans. How are you feeling this morning?
Feeling pretty good. We're always going out here working hard, trying to make it happen. Handing out sample ballots, keeping our distance, but trying to inform the voters as best we can.
So still, there still seems to be, a very, very important push to get some of these independent voters. And we'll talk to this gentleman over here. It says Freedom USA. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to meet you again.
Just out of curiosity, how are you feeling this morning?
Energetic. Energetic.
You think Trump's going to win?
I do think so. I see the responsive. People are very responsive, and I see the red tide. Red tide is coming.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yes.
So this is very, very early here in the morning, and we'll try to also talk to the Democratic volunteers here. Good morning, sir. How are you?
How are you?
How are you feeling this morning? A very important election.
Say that again?
Very important election.
Oh yes, very important.
This seems to be a blue county as far as last election goes. What are you picking up on, like, about some of those independent voters? Do you think they'll vote for Kamala Harris?
I certainly hope so.
I mean, are you making any last pitches? I mean, I see you have a ballot. Can I see the ballot? So that's the Democratic ballot, it gets handed out to people who come in, and it clearly says Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, Tim Kaine, who's running for senator, Jerry Connolly, who's the local congressman from here, and then there are two other issues that were
A huge problem in the U.S. election this time around is the issue of illegal immigrants, and Democrats certainly are on the back foot given what they have been doing and how they've been handling the immigrant crisis. There are asylum seekers who are here, and if you see this entire stretch of road, you'll see a lot of them around here in the street and living in hotels such as the Roosevelt. We no longer can enter this hotel. It's completely blocked, and only people with certain security card and IDs can enter the hotel. So they are those who've been housed by the Democratic leadership over here, Mayor Eric Adams himself, and nobody else can enter this hotel. So yes, in this election, when we're talking about agenda, one of the issues that has made headlines is illegal immigration, and visuals such as this certainly does not bode well for the Democratic Party. In New York, Geeta Mohan reporting for India Today.
To be joined by reporters in just a bit, but voting are underway in several parts of the United States, largely along the East Coast. There are several swing states also where polling is happening. It is very different from an Indian election, which we'll talk about also with our correspondents on ground. But from about 4:30 in the morning, that's Indian Standard Time, you can expect that the counting will begin. So by early tomorrow morning, we should have clarity really on who's taking the lead. Remember, it's based on, of course, who bags which state. And for both Trump and Harris, it's the swing states, states like Pennsylvania and Michigan, that will essentially seal their fate. Remember, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump each need at least 270 electoral votes to win. Fittingly and rather tellingly, like I mentioned, Pennsylvania and Michigan are the two states that they're focusing on, which is why Kamala Harris ended her campaign in Pennsylvania, while Donald Trump chose to end his campaign in Michigan, much like he has the last two times also that he's contested in these elections. So he considers it a sort of good luck charm, perhaps, to end his campaign in Michigan. Let's bring in Geeta Mohan. She's joining us live from Florida. Geeta, good evening, or rather, good morning. You're up bright and early because it's going to, of course, be a power-packed day, and exciting to think that at the end of this day, we'll know who the next U.S. president is. You're joining us live from Florida. Of course, the East Coast is voting right now. But what really stands out for so many viewers here in India, Geeta, is how different the entire voting process is. From the reports you filed, Rohit has filed, it's clear that there's a stark difference because it's not just a 24-hour voting period. You had voting happening over the last many weeks. You have exit poll booths that are set up, interestingly, outside these polling booths as well.
Well, that's right, Akshita. Where I am at is a very important polling booth. This is the Morton and Barbara Recreational Center And this is where Donald Trump will be coming to cast his ballots. You have MAGA vans over here, massive Trump and Harris, Trump and Vance supporters who are here. A lot of them have started coming in, trickling in when it comes to voting. And I'll just show you. See, you will not find that these many journalists reporting outside of a polling booth like over here. Those are all the media from the U.S. that have gathered down here at the Morton and Barbara Recreational Center, and that's the center where you can see from afar maybe how the Secret Service and police services are here to ensure that the area is sanitized. Remember, there are threats against Trump, and the fact that he's former president of the United States of America is the reason why you have a lot of security presence out here at the Morton and Barbara Recreational Center. And when I was coming to the polling booth itself, I was talking to the taxi driver, and he called this the Trump City. That this is Trump's area. It is the Trump City, and look at all this. Clearly, Akshita, everywhere we've been traveling and going, these little banners, boards have been put up, Trump banners, and there would be a chance board that you'd see of Harris and Walz as well, but not that many. Although yes, there are people who have come out here to support Harris as well, but this is an area, Florida, of course, is Republican, is an area dominated by. If I could speak to you, women over here, what are you doing? What is it that you're here for today, apart from the fact that you're also voting?
Well, we've already voted, but we're here to encourage people to vote the Democratic ticket, to protect women's freedoms, to protect children's safety in schools, and to protect our democracy.
You think Florida really can vote Democrats this time? Is that even a possibility?
Well, I'm certain that Palm Beach County will go for Harris. The state of Florida, today there are 1 million more registered Republicans than there are Democrats in Florida. So they have basically a 20% advantage in registered voters. I think Harris is going to do very well in Florida, and I think she's going to far exceed the proportion of Democrats to Republicans. So let's say Republicans outnumber her by 20%. I think she'll come within a few points of Trump.
Okay, what's your name?
Christine Watson.
Christine, what do you intend to do when Trump comes right here to vote? Is there anything that you...
We would greet him and say there's no anger. I feel like we're all out here to do the right thing. And we are all voting for hope, not fear, not based on fear. So we want to just have a conversation and be super open to that.
Okay, so that's the Harris Walz supporter. They're out here, quite positive about how West Palm Beach is going to vote. They come with a very strong message. Again, reproductive rights has been, apart from immigration, economy, reproductive rights, abortion has been a massive and a major issue and agenda topic during this election. And there are women who've come out with banners, posters, urging people to vote Harris, urging people to vote Harris Walz rather than Trump Vance.
Okay.
We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there are tables that have been set up, if you can see. And yes, all this is happening amidst massive security presence right there. We know that there has been sanitization of the entire area only because this is where Donald Trump will be coming to vote.
So we will come across to you, Geeta, when Donald Trump is there to cast his vote. But Geeta, getting us some great voices on ground there, the beauty of democracy on display in America. I want to bring in Rohit Sharma, who's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Rohit, while voting is on, I think everyone's eyes are fixated on one thing. When will we know who is the next U.S. president, who sits on the throne in Washington, D.C., Rohit?
Well, look, people have started coming in early. They were as early as 6 a.m. People were lined up. They're voting. If you can probably see behind me, there are. I'll probably try to take my camera over there as a speaker. People are still coming in. I mean, pretty similar scenes. We've got volunteers from both the parties here. People are trying to come in. They are handing them ballots. We've seen everybody come in. We're seeing, as you can probably see, we have some more people coming in and trying to vote. And I saw a very interesting sign. And if I could take you there. And something that Trump has talked about and Republicans have talked about. And I'm trying to see if I could actually, and it says only citizens vote. Now, this is very, very important. A lot of people have said, especially on the Republican side of things, that there are people who are voting who are not registered to vote, and they shouldn't be voting, and only citizens can vote in this election. A Trump talking point, essentially. It's rare to see such sign in the state of Virginia, rare to see such signs in blue states. So a lot of people that I've talked to, and I spoke to some people off the record who did not want to talk to me on the camera, have said that in states like DC and Virginia and Maryland, which are primarily blue states, they are voting for Trump. And this is something that, we've been talking about, the silent majority of Americans who are not getting registered in polls. That might be true because when people come out to vote, they are saying that they are voting for Donald Trump. You would not expect this in blue states like, as I said, Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. So very interesting build up. We would not know, as you said, Akshita, we probably would not know until later tonight or, tomorrow morning who's going to be leading. But looks like it's going to be a neck and neck competition initially. The polls will close at different times in different time zones. America, starts voting 6:30 a.m. here on Eastern time, goes up until almost midnight when it's in California. We'll have some projections come in, but it is exciting. People are out here to vote. And one theme, that people are sticking to is they want the nation to reconcile after such a big polarizing election. And they want to be able to come together and bring this. And they want a leader who can bring this country together. And that's the theme I have captured on the ground, Akshita.
It's been such an interesting election campaign that I think most Indians will be having a sleepless night tonight, tracking all the updates that come in from you, Rohit, and from you, Geeta. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. Later tonight, for us, of course, tomorrow morning, Geeta and Rohit will be getting us all those updates. And they will be telling us who's ahead, who's winning this close election battle. But let's get you some of the highlights of the last campaign of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. In the run-up to now the final leg of voting, here was their message to the voters and, of course, the barbs they fired at each other. Now, this, even as there are reports that suggest, and multiple polls that suggest that this is a neck-and-neck fight, that this is going to go down to the wire, which is why, as I mentioned earlier, both Trump and Kamala Harris chose to sign off from key battleground states, from key swing states. Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump was in Pennsylvania, and then in Michigan as well. And these two states, along with a handful of others, many believe, will decide this election. Let's get you some of those highlights.
With your vote, we're going to win Pennsylvania, and we're going to defeat Kamala and those radical left, what they're doing to our country.
The momentum is on our side. Our campaign has tapped into the ambitions, the aspirations, and the dreams of the American people. And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next president of the United States.
So tomorrow you have to stand up and tell Kamala that you've had enough. You're not going to take it anymore. You're the most incompetent vice president we've ever had. And Joe Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired.
And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics driven by fear and division. We are done with that. We're done. We're done. We're exhausted with it. And Pittsburgh, we are not going back. We are ready for a president who knows the true measure of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it is based on who you lift up.
Over the past 4 years, Kamala has orchestrated the most egregious betrayal that any leader in American history has ever inflicted upon our people. She's violated her oath of office. She's eradicated our sovereign border and unleashed an army of gangs and criminal migrants from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions, from all around the world, from Venezuela and the Congo in Africa, stealing countless American lives. And these are rough customers that are coming, much rougher than almost anybody in this room.
And instead of stewing over an enemy's list, I will spend every day working on my to-do list, full of priorities to improve your life. Because ours is not a fight against something. It is a fight for something. It is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom.
So very contrasting messages, as you made out there, from Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. But one constant theme was the attacks on each other. But they know, of course, that the last leg of their campaign, which is concluded now, was the most crucial. And in some time from now, Donald Trump is also going to be casting his vote in Florida, live visuals of which we will get you here on India Today. Through the night, we're going to be live, getting you all the updates that come in on voting day and on counting day for America. As I mentioned earlier, elections in America, very, very different from how things work here in India. But 4:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time is when you will see the counting of votes kick off. Slowly, you will see trends trickling in. But we're expecting that the final result, it could take a bit of time. So perhaps by tomorrow noon or even in the evening is when we'll actually know who the next president of America is going to be. And you can trust us here on India Today to get you all of those updates and, very importantly, the India perspective in this.